When you peel back the layers and you understand what emotions are, what they're trying to teach you, those bursts of energy, uh, the resentments, all of these things, they all have something to tell you. And you have to peel back the layers. And if you go back to my Fire and Flow series, that's where you really learn that. So I don't go really into detail here because there's already many, many videos you can go back and it's very easy to walk through. Now, when we understand the grace and the grind was the next part of the series. Learning how to understand what your emotions are teaching you. Um, they're usually teaching you boundaries. They're teaching you how to stand up for yourself, how to advocate, how to trust in yourself. And when you start learning and understanding that, you create space, one, for yourself, but for others to understand how you feel. But first, it has to be yourself. And giving yourself grace first allows you in turn to have compassion for other people. So it's really important to practice that and understanding what your capacity is. And that's where the accountability comes in, right? It's accountability without self-punishment. We're not being grounded. We're not going to jail. I mean, unless we're doing crazy stuff. Um, we're understanding that accountability is just saying, hey, what is my capacity today? What level am I feeling? Can I stay here where I'm at? Do I need to go into this group of 50 people and try to get things done? Do I need to show up somewhere where people try to be not so nice or not very welcoming? Do I have the capacity to deal with that? If that's a no, then you do something else. You show up when you can, you understand your abilities, and what happens is you start not having to deal with those triggers as much because you're understanding what they are. You start seeing what the patterns are, and you start recognizing how to make better choices. So it's not about doing all these crazy things. Accountability is just checking in. Accountability is just saying, hey, I'm not really feeling great today, so can I save myself a little trouble and do this job instead of this other five? And maybe when I get this done, then I can go on to something else. Love your speech. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. So this is kind of where we're at. And when we get into the alchemy of motion, this is the whole process. So I taught you step by step, right? We did the fire and flow. Then we did, which is the noticing, the understanding what the information is. Then the grace, it's giving yourself grace because it's not a one-step, one-day thing. This is a practice that you're going to do every day. You're going to check in all the time. And then the accountability is understanding that you're not keeping up with the Joneses. You're not fighting this. You're just understanding what your capacity is every day. You're checking yourself at the end of the day. Hey, did I do really good on some things? Yes. Did I not? Okay, could I do better next time? It's not about punishing yourself when things aren't perfect. It's about noticing so you can make a change, right? So when we get to that point, this is the whole part of the series. In the Alchemy of Motion, this is the medicine within. This is when you peel back the layers, you've understood. There's always a step. There's always a pause before you start creating, before you start doing anything, where you let all of that sit, the noticing, the understanding, the pulling it all together. There's a space where you allow it to sit and just let it sit quietly, and that's where you process. That's where you begin to understand, okay, what do I hold on to? What do I let go? What isn't serving me now? Has it ever been serving me? If it has, is there something I can learn from it? It's literally a space where you get to sort through all of the things. And sometimes that looks like, the 60 seconds before you snap. That gives you a moment to calm down and back up. Sometimes it's a moment where you're getting ready to build something. You're learning how to understand all of this energy and these emotions. And you free up a different kind of energy. And that becomes your creative energy. But until you understand what it is, it just sits there. And there's this whole process that goes on inside your heart. You don't always notice it, but there comes a time where you will, and you'll start feeling this warmness. You'll start to understand, I feel good here. I understand. I feel like I'm understanding things. It's like something clicks, and now you're like, oh, that doesn't need to be here anymore. This can go, this can stay, and it just allows you that space to feel through it. Because if you can't feel through it, you're going to keep pushing it back, and that's when you start feeling it in your body. in how you behave, in your mannerisms, and that's how you boil. You get to boiling point and then you react. And if I can teach anybody to not react just a little bit sooner and respond instead and understand why it makes them want to react, because when you can understand that and you can stop yourself and give yourself that moment, you have a moment to process. You have a moment to go through and say, yeah, I'm not doing that today. I love myself too much for that. I don't want to be disrespected. I will advocate for myself, but I'm not going to allow things to get crazy, right? There's always like this path, and anywhere on the path when you can stop that, and it empowers you, and then it saves that energy, and it saves that cycle of fear, shame, guilt, all of those things, and that's really important because that leaves extra space for that medicine within, and that leaves extra space for when that creation comes. Because now you have time for ideas. Now you're not stuck in those loop cycles of fear, shame, and guilt. Now you're stuck in a cycle of, ooh, I have a little extra energy. I don't feel so drained today. What's going on around me? Wonder what I could do today. It's a whole different feeling than, oh my God, am I going to survive today? What am I doing without? How am I going to make it? When you can switch your perspective and start seeing things like that, you create such an amount of change in your life that it becomes fun again. You don't have to worry so much. And even when things are there to worry about, it's like, okay, well, I've overcome everything to this point, and look what it's taught me. So there has to be an answer and a solution out there. How can I find it? Now it's not, oh my God, I'm not going to make it through this. Everything's going to collapse around me. Something's going to happen. Now it's like, I know there's a solution out there. How do I find it? What can I change here within me personally? Because it's the only thing I have accountability for. It's the only thing I have control over. I can change me. I can change how I behave. I can change how I react. I can change how I perceive things. I can understand why I perceive things differently. And this is an entire process. It seems like a lot because I'm explaining it, and it is a lot, but it happens in such a smooth motion as you start going through the steps and you start peeling it back and understand. This is that moment where it all starts to come together and it starts to soothe your soul. It starts to allow you that free space. It allows you to get out of that space of chaos and calm your brain, because now that processing isn't processing out of survival anymore. It's not processing out of fear. It's saying, okay, why was I holding on to that?